Greetings! This is part 2 of this is the 6th Battle Report 3rd edition. We rolled the little option thing and it worked out to be Forces of Nature. Goto Guy Bob versus Jerry Ultimate Power Game. I'm using my Empire Dust. I've made a change up since the last time I played it. We're using the exact same table. We rolled off for side picking and won the roll, and he took the same exact side he had before, so we'll be right back to go over the armies. Just a second. Beep. Okay. Okay, here we are. Right flank starting. Go-to guy, what do you have?
The 4 forest shamblers are still here. Here, and here.
Okay.
We've got forest wardens interspersed, this one with inspiring talisman.
Okay.
Tree herder in the
tree herder's right there.
Middle, thank you. They all look the same from up here.
Okay.
We've got 2 greater air elementals with lightning.
That one there, and that one right there. Okay.
Got some scorched wing regiment back here with the sting stone.
Okay.
A unicorn with tome of darkness.
Okay.
A druid with shroud of the saint.
Okay.
And an earth elemental horde.
Okay. We'll be right back with the Empire Dust setup. Starting now. Okay. So here we are with the Empire Dust. I've got a horde of enslaved guardians. Behind them, I've got a regiment of scavengers. Right here, I've got a horde of revenants with no upgrades. Behind them is the cursed high priest who's got heal, surge, and the conjurer staff. That big guy there is Shobik. Next over, I've got my standard 2 regiments of mummies. Behind them, we have the pharaoh with the eternal guard upgrade, so the mummies have elite and melee. Over here on this flank, I've got a regiment of chariots. The chariots have the Wine of Elvenkind upgrade. Behind them is going to be another scavenger regiment. Right over here is my standard taking of skeletal horse archers that have the Brewer's Strength. And behind them is the Great Revenant King on Worm. He's got the Brutal upgrade. So we'll be right back after we do Vanguard and roll to see who goes first. Okay, so right now, the Forces of Nature, the units that could make the scouting move, they all did an at the double, so they're sitting right at the 24-inch line area. And so we're going to roll to see who gets the first turn. Okay, here we are. The Forces of Nature opted to go turn 1. What do you have going on over here, starting with your air elemental?
This one's over here just to... I don't know if you're going to come this way or that way.
Yeah.
He'll help to deal with it a little bit. These guys moved up and were surged up a little bit.
Inches to get there, okay.
All the vanguarded, scouted guys moved 6 inches forward here.
Yeah.
These guys moved up to the maximum extent where they could still cast.
Okay. Here, started off, your unicorn surged here.
Oh, yeah.
Failed the surge with this guy, but the tree man was able to get the extra surge.
Yeah, once they got 2 inches up, that opened up the arcs for surge. So that was surged in.
These guys just moved in position.
Yeah, they're crowded over here.
He was able to, between shots of lightning bolts and shooting from the scorched guys, he did 1 wound, but Shobik's Iron Resolve took that 1 wound off. Hand-to-hand combat happened here. He did 5 wounds to me. Was unable to roll anything, so Shobik's Aura once again took that off, so they're down to 4. And that basically is the end of the Forces of Nature turn 1. We'll be right back after Empire Dust turn 1. Okay, end of the Empire Dust turn 1 movement. Basically, the regiment of chariots just came up. Here the horse archers came behind them. We took shots here, was unable to wound. I did do some hits on 6s, but didn't do anything. The scavenger regiment just positioned over side so I can get ready to do some flanking or chaotic things later. The Revenant King just pivoted and moved over. He was in position. The regiment of mummies here charged the front of the 4 shambler horde here. This regiment of mummies came up and pivoted. The Revenant King surged them into the flank. That combined combat was able to rout that. These 2 units turned to face like that. The Pharaoh, well, he just came up into position. He did some surging here. Over here, the Revenant Horde just moved up and pivoted, so they were straight up looking in the flank there. They were able to be surged into the flank of the forced Shambler Horde that was here. This combined combat took them out. The Cursed High Priest healed them down to 1 wound, and then they life leeched back the last one. So that's what we look like at the end of turn 1. We'll be right back with the Forces of Nature turn 2. All right, here we are, the end of the Forces of Nature turn 2. What'd you have going over here, Bob?
All right, we just plunged forward. This air elemental slid over to the side, was surged into the flank. He did.
He lightning bolted and
lightning bolt first.
Got him up to 8.
Got him up to 8. You know, they stood up. That's fine. These guys moved forward. Was surged by him.
Yep. These guys moved up in position to do some surging.
They did the surging there. Let's see.
You had a triple combat, a quadruple.
Yeah,
1,
he charged
2,
on the
3,
flank.
and the tree men here.
Yep.
Charged my horde, got him up to 20, and routed them, so that's gone.
Right, so they repositioned.
4 shamblers took out my scavengers there. Okay.
These guys went up here just to keep these guys at bay. And
did 4 wounds.
Yeah.
Okay, and that got me there. So we'll be right back after turn 2 for the Empire of Dust. Okay, so here we are, the end of the Empire of Dust turn 2. This little contingent here, sweep flankers, just kind of pivoted and moved up to be around over here for later turns. I had a combi charge in the flank of the Earth Elementals, a hindered charge by the Mummies and the Giant Revenant King. Got him to a total of 7, didn't do anything. I was able to charge into the flank here, got this guy up to an 11, but was unable to break him. Shobik, he actually healed a little bit off of the Mummy Regiment, and then he was surged into the flank of his Forest Warden here by the Pharaoh and broke him and turned to face like that. My horde of enslaved guardians here was able to disengage, pivot into a corkscrew, and charge into the flank of the air elemental, routed him. They kept that same facing. Here, I was able to heal them. I healed them completely with the Cursed High Priest. He moved to make sure he was out of arc of everything, so there was no threatening. So we'll be right back after the Forces of Nature turn. All right, here we are, the end of the Forces of Nature turn 3. What'd you have happen?
All right, we had these counter-charge here, these Earth Elemental hordes counter-charging this guy here.
Did 5 wounds.
Put 5 wounds on it. He stayed firm.
Tried to heal him, but was unable to heal.
Oh, yeah, heal 5, did 0. Yeah, happens.
This guy.
This Air Elemental Greater was over here. He moved forward 5, turned 90 degrees, moved forward 5, turned 90 degrees. Then he was surged in by this guy.
And did 8 wounds.
Did 8 wounds to him. Not enough to break him.
Not enough to break.
You know, soften him up a little bit.
Here.
These guys charged the flank of the Mummies.
Routed them.
They're gone.
Okay.
Over here, I almost lost track of what used to be here, but there was the Guardians here.
Double charge front and flank. And wiped them out.
They got taken out.
These guys turned to face, so they're facing this way.
Right. The tree man walked up and turned to face this way.
Okay. So that's the end of Force of Nature turn 3. We'll be right back after the Empire of Dust turn 3. Okay, here we are, the end of the Empire of Dust turn 3. Basically what we had happen was we did a combined 3-way charge here on the horde of Earth Elementals. Hindered charge here and 2 counter charges there. We were able to wipe them out and did as so. He turned to face this way. These guys turned to face like that. That just moved forward. Here, the skeletal horse archers from down off the hill were able to charge into the rear of the Greater Air Elemental, wiped him out. Here, the Pharaoh charged into the Unicorn, did 3 wounds to him, and just that's it. Here, Shobik pivoted and charged into the regiment here, wiped them out, and turned to face his soul. So that's the end of my turn 3. We'll be right back after the Forces of Nature turn 4. Okay, here we are, the end of the Forces of Nature turn 4. What'd you have happen over here?
The Unicorn that was fighting this Pharaoh guy?
Yeah.
Charged over here into the chariots, did 3 wounds to them.
Okay.
They were all right.
They're disordered?
Yep. These guys rotated and they were surged. An attempt from this druid didn't quite make it. So the tree herder got into there.
Did 5 wounds, got him up to 9, but unable to break them.
They're all right. These guys turned around here and he surged them in. They
did 2 wounds to Shobik, but didn't break him, of course, so he Iron Resolve 1 back.
And Tree Man just
moved up to be able to do the surge.
Yep.
All right, so we'll be right back after the Empire of Dust turn. Okay, here we are, the end of the Empire of Dust turn 4. Basically, the chariot just did a disengage and then pivoted and moved backwards to there. That opened up a charge from here. We were only able to do 1 wound, but we wavered him, so he has wavered. Here we had a combined charge between the Pharaoh and the Mummies. We got them up to 6, but weren't able to close the deal. Mr. Great Revenant King charged the rear of the Forest Shambler horde here. Shobik did a counter charge in the front, took them out. They both turned to face like that. So that's the end of my turn 4. We'll be right back after the Forces of Nature turn 5. All right, here we are, the end of the Forces of Nature turn 5. I gotta say this. Mr. Forest Warden here charged into the Revenant King and did no damage, didn't even hit him, so I can still fly. That's awesome.
He rolled 3 1s.
3 1s.
Just to make it
awesome.
For certain.
Over here, these two charged into the mummies, took him out. They just turned to face this way, so he wasn't giving me a rear charge here.
The heal 5 here.
Healed 1.
1.
So we'll be right back after the Empire of Dust turn 5. All right, here we are, the end of the Empire of Dust turn 5. Basically what happened, this unit of chariots charged into the wavered unicorn and routed him, turned to face like that. I had a triple charge into this horde. The unit of skeletal horse archers charged him in the rear hindered, and both Shobik and the Great Dragon charged him in the front, got them up to over 20, routed them, they're gone, they turned to face like this. Here, my Pharaoh charged the flank of the Tree Man, only did 1 wound, and here my Cursed High Priest just came up this way to be out of sight and support. So we'll be right back after Forces of Nature turn. Okay, here we are, the end of the Forces of Nature turn 6. What did you do over here, Bob?
Not much. The Druid over here charged the Flyer. He didn't have much else to do. Maybe, you know. And these guys just ran over this way.
Okay, to try to hold in.
Their charge arc wasn't facing anyone interesting, so yeah.
All right, well, we'll be right back after the Empire of Dust turn 6. It should be fun. Okay, here we are, the end of the Empire of Dust turn 6. Well, this regiment of chariots with Nimble was able to pivot, back, and they took shots here, did 2 wounds here. Also with these guys, between the two of them, they did 2 wounds. And then this skeleton archer unit was surged into that, did 6 and wavered. Here, Shobik moved and was able to be surged into the Tree Man, did a whole lot of wounds and routed him, overran to go right there. That's where we are at the end of my turn 6. We already rolled. We're going to be doing a turn 7, so we'll be right back. Okay, here we are at the end of the combined turn 7. Basically what happened, the Forest Warden here did a slight pivot and did it at the double 12 to try to get far away from me. Shobik pivoted and moved. These 3 casters came over to be in position with the Pharaoh starting, and these two, well, actually the Cursed High Priest ended it. I was able to charge into the back of him and routed him, so this is gone. Here I did a counter charge into the Wavered Druid, took it out. The Scavengers stayed over there, so it was a total wipe for the Forces of Nature, and I ended up for the scenario having 4-0. We'll be right back to kind of talk about that. Wow. Okay, so there we go. That was a 7-turn game. It was very bloody. What are your thoughts on the strategy you had to come up and really put the pressure on?
I think it was about a 3 or 4 turn game when we kind of saw what was going to happen.
Yeah.
This was kind of like the perfect setup I had imagined when I thought of this force in my mind, that there's a main force and a flanking force, and I'll just approach the main force before the flanking force can get around to help out.
Okay.
That kind of followed that pattern.
Yeah.
But I got overzealous with that one surge charge on turn 1, which started opening flanks up. That was, I wouldn't do that again. It was pretty fun. I mean, that's a point for being fun.
Yeah. It was very fun, and tactically challenging. You know, that I see what you were trying to do with the getting away from my flank force coming around.
Yeah.
And you know, it took me a minute, but yeah, you did open up. I was able with my flyer to cut in closer because you allowed me to outflank you instead of using your air elemental to protect that flank. You allowed me to come around, so you were wiping out my units pretty fast in the middle too, but since I still had my secondary force coming around to engage, and based off of positioning, what you gave me 2 rear charges with the chariots and with the skeletal horse archers. Now, you know, I actually like the regiment of chariots. I gave them Wine of the Elvenkind, so they're nimble, and nimble in this did end up playing a part for some of the stuff I did. I could have just as easily changed this up and made it a regiment of Revenant Cavalry with the Wine of Elvenkind just to give me that extra maneuverability. But having the shoot, even though it's only 6 shots, you know, it was a little bit, shooting didn't make a whole lot of a difference, but it did in a couple of instances soften up a little bit, so that by the time I was able to either charge in or surge charge in, it help to win the day. In this particular instance, what do you think your standout units were based on how we were going?
You know, there was that's a toughie. I mean, I think the greater air elementals have a lot of potential. I may have misused them, but I think the fact that they can move over, turn around, and be surged is powerful. I feel
flanks
there's something.
And rears, it makes it really.
You know, I didn't pull those off too well. You know, the scouting force, if that's a good thing, the scouting force went forward together. I don't know if it can be refined or.
Well, I think going forward together, that wasn't bad because I couldn't charge you turn one anyway. But I think you were sitting at 12. You could have finagled it a little bit to give you a chance to set up, you know, some situations where I had to worry about you charging my flank with some of your big stuff instead of, like you said, making that turn one charge. You were out there unsupported.
I was excited about your flyers and your cavalry over there on the side with that obstacle building in the way. Thinking that if I move fast enough, you're too wide overall to come in on your side of the building.
Well, the nice thing, the chariot, I did get a charge off. It was a hindered charge, but hindered is only I lost one thunder, so I'm hitting you on 5s. So I didn't mind that much. You know, chariots, I have basically the way I built my chariots, I've got 2 regiments, or I could turn it into an actual legion. I'm not sure if I would actually do a horde to have to remake some basing for that, or to do a rebasing thing for a chariot troop, but the regiment legion idea I don't mind so much. So I think my overall standout, I love Shobik because I love that iron resolve and I love that he was able to heal. I have to check something because I think I heard someplace that he could not be disordered, and if that's the case, there was a time I could have disengaged, even if you did damage to me, disengaged, healed somebody and then surged them in, or healed, you know, but I didn't do it because I wasn't sure. I didn't see in the book where it was. So yeah, this was a very tactical game, and it came down to, I'm surprised that I was able to table you, but it happens. It happens. We both had some decent die rolls, and we had some weird die rolls, but so I think we can't put it off on dice. So yeah. Well, that's the end of the part 2 of the control scenario with this table. We're going to have one more of these, and we're going to see how that outcome is. So thanks for watching. Questions, comments, like I said, love to hear them. Later.